how do you define the Manchester Film Festival? What aspects of your festival makes it different from other British festivals?
I think one of the things we did when we started the Manchester Film Festival is we wanted to ensure the majority of our programming came from open submissions. So we're very transparent in our festival in what films have come through open submissions, and if any of them are out of competition screenings or gala screenings that we've sourced either from another festival or from distributors. And we've always made sure that the vast majority of our films are from open submissions. So we're also incredibly supportive of the filmmakers who play at the festival. We try and make sure their experience when they come over to the festival is as good as possible, putting on as much hospitality as we can. And we really focus on story. So our program is wide and diverse, and our only criteria is that it's a great story. It doesn't matter where it comes from or who it comes from, as long as it tells an engaging story.
Do you have a selection committee? If yes, what is the relationship between you as the festival director and the committee? And who has the final words on the film selection process? Can you, for example, a film programmer select a film even when you don't like it?
Yeah, so I think what's really important to me as a festival director is to have a wide variety of voices on the selection committee. If it was just down, if everything finally came down to just me or just down to one individual head of programming, then I think we'd be narrowing the scope of what we show at the festival. So we've got a wide variety of programmers. They sort of make a selection, and then we tend to all meet up in the run up to the final selection, watch all the films that everyone's really passionate about, and then we make final decisions kind of in a collaborative way. And if there's one film that someone just is incredibly passionate about and they believe really should be shown, then I'm not going to overrule that. If one person's got a huge passion for it, then I'm sure that many more people will as well. And just because I don't necessarily connect with it doesn't mean other people won't. So no, I would never get in the way of a film that one of my programmers was passionate about.
Mm-hmm. And what is a good film for you? Do you have a few examples in mind?
Yeah, no, when we're programming, we don't really have specific ideas in mind of the types of film we're looking for. As I've said, we're really just looking for great stories, well-crafted films. We've crime dramas, sort of UK crime dramas tends to be a big genre just for UK films. So it just tends to be we get a few of those. Also, we know that music documentaries, for instance, have always played incredibly well at the festival. So those sort of things, when we know, as we've grown the festival, we're in our 8th year now, we've kind of got to know our audience really well. So we kind of know what will connect with our audience as well. So we're keeping an eye out for things that we know will connect with our audience. But beyond that, we're just looking for interesting and engaging stories. I think with short films, there's no remit at all. Like short films, we've shown a huge variety of short films over the years, and there is no preconceived idea of what we want to show with shorts. We just wait for something to engage us and get us passionate about that particular film.
How many films do you usually watch each year, and how many do you select?
The festival, we normally get between sort of 2,500 films submit to the festival, and we select we've selected between sort of 150, 170 films the last few editions. That's obviously split between short films and feature films, normally around about 20 to 30 features, and then the rest made up with shorts.
Mm-hmm. What is the relationship between the festival and international distributor? Do you prefer films with international distributor?
Again, there is no preference there at all. If the film's got no distribution whatsoever, no sales agent attached, if it's a great film, we're more than happy to show it. If it's played in other countries, if it's already been released and distributed in other countries, that's also fine. Our main thing is that it's not played in Manchester before. So obviously, if it's got a UK distributor and it's got a UK release, then we're very unlikely to show it. But if it's For instance, we've had a few films that have had releases and done really well in Brazil, and they've submitted to the festival, and we've shown those. So we're really very relaxed about whether it does or does not have distribution outside the UK.
Does it make sense to you to select a complex film that might not attract an audience, or do you prefer movies that can secure a good turnout of the audience?
First and foremost, we just want really interesting films. So we've put on films before that we've really loved, and we knew it was going to be harder to sell them to our audience. But I think as we're growing, our audience is kind of growing as well, and we're getting to the point now where our audience kind of trusts us. And we get lots of people buying multi-film passes or full festival passes now, who just want to dip in and try a bit of everything. So a more complex, involved film, would be more than happy to show that. If it was interesting and engaging and we really loved it, then we'd show it even if we thought it might be a little bit harder to sell to an audience.
Mm-hmm. And how is the relationship between you and your audience? Do you get feedback from your audience, and does this impact your selection of the films or the festival procedure?
I think that we do try and get as much feedback as we can from the audience. We kind of send a questionnaire out after the festival, just seeing how what everyone's experience was like, what films they really enjoyed. And we kind of can gauge it. I'm normally running around between all the Q&As and just seeing how they're going, and you can kind of gauge as well from how engaged the audience is with the Q&A, or just audience numbers in terms of what people have turned out to see. And we do an audience award every year, so we ask the audience to rate the films, so we get feedback there, and that does kind of inform our programming decisions. So as I said, we know we've had a couple of Irish sort of crime dramas, and they've always sold really well. So we do know it does feed into our decision with programming, but ultimately, if a film comes along that isn't a genre we've shown before and blows us away, then we're not going to not put it in just because we don't know if our audience will like it.
How is the importance of the right content for you? Are you looking for films with a good humanistic or social message? If a filmmaker, for example, make a fascinating, complicated film on a controversial topic, if he makes, for example, a perfect film on defense of racism or capital punishment, for example, will you accept his work?
Yeah, certainly. We've shown many films in the past. We have a documentary strand to the film. We also have obviously the narrative strand, so whether it be a documentary or a narrative, we wouldn't shy away from sort of harder hitting documentaries. We had a film in the 20 edition of the festival, which was about forced marriage in the United States. We also had a film about migrants traveling across incredibly dangerous parts of Africa. Not dangerous in terms of war or anything like that, just driving across the desert, just trying to find more work. We've shown narrative films about human trafficking and sort of these gangs transporting people across the border in the USA, and basically keeping them imprisoned in houses in places like New Mexico. So yeah, we've shown all sorts of social issue films before, and we believe that's one of the great things about film festival is we can show these films and we can get an audience in and we can raise awareness for these issues that people may or may not have been aware of before.
Do you have a quota to meet for films in different regions?
No, we don't. Obviously, we are a UK film festival, so we try and always have at least sort of 2 or 3 UK feature films, and roughly half of our shorts programming tends to come from the United Kingdom. But there is, and we used to do our shorts with like a UK shorts blocks and international shorts blocks. But we made the decision in the 3rd year of the festival to scrap that and just have shorts blocks. So the shorts blocks are a mix of UK shorts and international shorts. So we don't have any real quota other than we have a jury prize for best UK feature film. So we need to obviously have enough films to compete there. So we normally look for a minimum of 3 or 4 UK features. But that's out of a total of normally around about 20 or so features. So if we get more really good quality UK features, we'd put them in, but we have sort of a minimum for that. Other than that, we have no quota on any specific country.
Mhm. Do you have a specific inclusionary policy in terms of selecting film, in terms of, for example, gender balance or diversity representation? If so, how does that work? Can you explain the process?
In the past, we have not had any policy along those lines. It's something we have started to look at more this year. I think it's difficult with a lot of the submission platforms to necessarily know who's involved in the films and who, if there is, other than maybe knowing the director is female. Sometimes you don't get a picture or a photo of the director when you're selecting the films. So there's no real way of knowing their ethnic background or any more information than just their name. So it becomes a bit more difficult there. But the conversations, we've generally ended up with a roughly 50-50 gender balance in terms of directors for short films. But that's kind of just been a fluke in the past. It's not something we've sought out to do. I think it is something we're going to look at more to try and make sure our lineup is diverse and does have representation from all across the spectrum. So I think part of that comes down to we've broadened and made our programming team more diverse recently. So hopefully that just other voices choosing the films will help. And we're kind of having discussions with the programming team on what the best way forward is with that.
Mm-hmm. And the submission process is mostly through Film Freeway. So I'm just wondering if you can say more about why you picked Film Freeway and how was your experience of working with Film Freeway?
Yeah, so as you said, almost probably 95% of our films come through Film Freeway, and we select them through Film Freeway. We launched the festival in, I think, pretty much the same year Film Freeway launched. And initially, we took submissions through Film Freeway and Without a Box. And we used to get a roughly 50% of our submissions coming from Without a Box and 50% coming from Film Freeway. Film Freeway was always the more user-friendly platform, so it was much easier to set up as a festival and edit your festival and make your festival look nice on Film Freeway. And I think it was much easier for the filmmakers as well to upload and work through Film Freeway. And then 2 years ago, Without a Box closed. So they said, see you later, and closed. So we did experiment with some of the other smaller submission platforms. We were with a European one called Film Festival Life for a while, and we got some good submissions through there, but they closed as well last year. So Film Freeway is kind of the last big one left in the game. So they also reduce their fees if you're exclusively with them. So it's kind of, they probably were the best submission platform in terms of usability, but now they're kind of the only game in town, really.
Mm-hmm. What is the importance of authorship for you in terms of film selection? If you have a chance to choose a good film from a well-known filmmaker and an excellent movie from a non-well-known filmmaker, which do you prefer?
It's a difficult one because obviously names and names of the name of a filmmaker, the celebrity in the film is going to attract attention and potentially bring in audience. But we've had many films in the past, not from really well-known filmmakers necessarily, but starring well-known actors that we've not put in the festival because they just weren't as good as the other films. So generally we would go with the better film the majority of the time. So we would choose the film that was, if in our selection, if we'd chosen, say, if we had 20 film slots for narrative films, for feature films, and 20 of them were all amazing, and there was one that was just good, but the just good one was from a known director, then it wouldn't make it in because we'd go with the 20 amazing films.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of COVID, what was the impact of COVID on your festival, especially in terms of, for example, a sponsorship? and the other issue?
Yeah, so we kind of scraped through our 2020 edition. Our 2020 edition was held physically just before all the lockdowns and everything in the UK hit. So we finished our 2020 edition in cinema, but it was a very strange event because we had guests booked to fly in from America and all over Europe and everywhere. And as we got, the emails started coming of us, I'm sorry, I can't make it. I can't make it. I can't make it. And then I think on the Friday, the last Friday of the festival, Donald Trump announced a travel ban for anyone coming from Europe back to the USA. So we had lots of people sort of racing to get out. So that kind of affected us there. And then the 2021 edition, everything was closed. So we pivoted and went fully online to a fully virtual festival. Worked with a really great company called Filmocracy on the virtual festival. They were amazing in helping us pivot to being online. We had our own little festival village, a little map, and you'd click on the different buildings depending on where you were going to go and watch your films. And there was also Q&A spaces. So you'd say go and watch a documentary film in the documentary cinema, and then afterwards you'd go into your documentary Q&A building to watch the Q&A afterwards. So it was pretty seamless, and we ran it as live event. So all the film screenings were live. It wasn't on demand. And it worked really well. It's not, if I can avoid doing it again, I would prefer not to do it again because it's just not the same experience as having the audience there in the room, experiencing it together, the filmmakers getting to see that, the responses to their films, seeing people laugh when they didn't realize it was funny, or gasp when they didn't realize it was shocking. It's such a great experience to be able for a filmmaker to be able to be with a live audience and get that instant feedback. Sponsorship definitely tougher in COVID times. Everyone's struggling, and it is something we didn't really generate any revenue from sponsorship this year because of being fully on and not knowing and being able to tell any sponsors what we were actually offering. Like, we had no idea what our audience numbers were going to be like online. We didn't know till reasonably late exactly what the platform and stuff would look like. So yeah, we suffered in terms of sponsorship revenue.
Mm-hmm. And my last question, because I see that there is a good connection between filmmakers and industry in your festival, I wonder if you can say more about that. Do you provide, for example, distribution possibilities for filmmakers who attend at your festival? Or can you say more about these aspects of your festival?
Yeah, so we always try and get as many industry representatives along to the festival as possible. We work very closely with a fantastic exec producer and small distribution company called DC Releasing. So a few of our films have gone on and had UK releases through them. I think until recently they had it would be like a VOD release in partnership with Lionsgate that the films would go out through. It's something we want to build on. We've now got much better relationships as well with a lot of the independent distribution houses in the UK who attend the festival every year looking for new content, and it's something we want to build. We want to be able to introduce our filmmakers to people in the industry, and ideally get any of our films that don't have distribution in touch with people who could help release their films in the UK. We actually also recently launched a new page on our website where if you want to see where you can watch the previous films from the festival that are available online, we've now got a central page on the website where people can go and find all the films that played at the festival previously. So we've been working on that for a while, when we thought, we really want to be able to support our filmmakers at the festival and also on their film's journey beyond the festival as well. So it means a lot to us to be able to provide that sort of one place portal where everyone can find Manif films.
Thanks. It was very nice talking to you and knowing about the Manchester Film Festival. I wonder if you have something to want to add or say more about your festival to our audience.
I think just if you get a chance to come to Manchester to be part of the festival, we'd love to welcome everyone to the city when the city's back open for business. If you come to Manchester Film Festival, just be prepared for an intense experience of fantastic films, late night parties, mingling with all the filmmakers, and just a week long event, which is fun and tiring and awe-inspiring, and it's just a fantastic event. So please do come along and experience it for yourselves.